Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Today I'll be comparing two colored pencil brands. I decided to go ahead with Derwent Drawing and Faber-Castell Polychromos. I wanted to compare both of them side by side to be able to see the differences between them more clearly. Look how beautifully both of these pencil brands look and how they present in their tints. Polychromos have been my favorite pencil brand since I purchased them about 2 years ago. Until now, for me they had unbeatable quality and I really liked working with them. But let's see if anything changes after this trial. I decided to color match the pencils as closely as I could. Because I only have limited color selection from Derwent Drawing line, I decided to match them against Polychromos. I have full 120 set of Polychromos, so it was much easier this way. Here you can see yellow ochre color from Derwent Drawing line on the left. And on the right hand side you can see Polychromos in dark Naples ochre and light yellow ochre at the bottom. I also added mustard into the yellow section. Mustard is the most saturated color I've got from Derwent Drawing line. Here I'm adding bistre, light sienna and light rust. I have to admit that beige selection from Derwent Drawing line is really good. They've got huge variety of tones, from yellows to pinks and a little bit more orange tones. The closest color match I could find from Polychromos was beige red and cinnamon. If you like drawing skin tones in color pencils, you can definitely find something in Polychromos set, although it's a little bit more limited than in Derwent Drawing line. However, please remember that skin tones is not only peaches, creams, browns. It also contains a lot of blue-green undertones. Next color I chose from Derwent is Dusky Pink. Right next to it I added Venetian Red from Polychromos, however I realized later on that Cinnamon is much closer in tone. And this is Roja, or Roja. I don't know how to say it correctly, apologies. It's really dark magenta with tiny bit of brown in it. The closest Polychromos match I could find was dark red, India red and magenta. If you mixed all these colors together, you would get Roja. This one is called Strawberry, and I think that the name fits perfectly. It is an ideal color for ripe strawberries. Polychromos have huge selection of reds, however I could not find anything quite close to strawberry. But trust me, you will find a red in Polychromos line that you really like, because the choice of reds is just huge. This Mars orange has really beautiful shade, very close to burnt sienna. And the closest color match I could find for this one was sanguine, burnt ochre and terracotta. Among all of these similar shades, sanguine is my most favorite one. I just love this color. For brown ochre from Derwent Drawing, I found perfect match from Polychromos line, which is also called brown ochre. You can see that Polychromos shade is tiny bit darker if you press it quite hard, but otherwise you can definitely match the colors pretty well. The closest match for Venetian red I found in Polychromos line were Caput Mortuum and Caput Mortuum Violet. These shades are not exactly the same, but they are close enough. By comparing these two brands, I actually was very surprised that there is so many muted tones in Polychromos set. Polychromos are well known for their vibrant and strong saturated colors, but seems like you can find some muted tones in there as well. Okay, so I think it's about time to share with you my observations. As per the color matching between two sets, you can match the colors pretty closely. Maybe not all of them, but vast majority. For example, this chocolate color is so dark, I had difficulties finding something similar in Polychromos, but I think dark sepia is quite close. For some colors, like for example this pale cedar or shadow green, I couldn't find any close match. By the way, you can see in here, if you press these color pencils hard enough, they do crumble. However, none of these broke during me making this video, and I pressed them really hard. And of course, Polychromos didn't break neither during the sharpening or filming this video, or never ever as long as I've been using them. So Polychromos never let me down. This spruce green and in general greens from Derwent Drawing line are very unique, so I could not find a match for this one neither. However, Polychromos have really vast green selection, and trust me, you'll find something you really like. Quite important topic that I wanted to touch upon. I am not sure if you can see it on this video, but Polychromos covered the tooth of the paper much better than Derwent Drawing. And I have mentioned it already in my previous videos. Maybe it is a general rule that soft color pencils do not cover tooth of the paper as good unless you press them really hard. On the other hand, you can see that Polychromos covered the tooth of the paper much better. So I think, and it's only my opinion, but I think that drawings made with Polychromos will give you much smoother effects, much more burnished. Of course, you have got other options, like for example using burnishing or blending pencils. So it is only up to you what way you prefer. Another difference that I found between these two brands is that Derwent Drawing kind of sticks to the paper. It is really buttery, but it is very kind of sticky as well. It's very hard to explain. At the same time, Polychromos just glides on top of the paper. It is much drier in consistency, but it's not scratchy at all. It is very smooth. I have to mention this midnight tone is probably one of my most favorite colors in Derwent Drawing line, and I could not find anything closely similar from Polychromos line. Coming back to the subject of burnishing, have a look in here how much more burnished and smooth the side of Polychromos look. The blue selection in Derwent Drawing line was so unique I could not find anything remotely similar to this ash blue. I think the closest one was earth green, however it is much more green in tone. You will see in a second. See, this is what I'm talking about when I say about burnishing the grain of the paper. Look at the Polychromos side and how smooth and amazing it looks. I just love this finish. And I didn't have to press the pencil too hard. In fact, Polychromos are very pigmented and you don't need a lot of pressure at all. They just glide on top of the paper, leaving a lot of color behind. Don't get me wrong, Derwent Drawing are also super pigmented and you need just slightest pressure to lay down color on the paper. You will just see more grainy result and more white space. So the wash is not so uniform and not that smooth as with Polychromos. Unless again you will use a blending pencil or much more pressure. Many people say that Polychromos are hard color pencils, however I disagree with this. Trust me, in the past I bought many budget colored pencils and I know what I'm talking about. For example, shuttle art are hard pencils in my opinion. They weren't very well pigmented and they were kind of scratching the paper and I was feeling like I'm using a piece of wood to draw. So my shuttle art pencils are in the bin now. And when I used Polychromos pencils afterwards, I was completely blown away. So trust me when I tell you Polychromos are not hard color pencils, they are somewhere in the middle. Derwent Drawing color pencils, on the other hand, I can categorize as soft. You can sharpen them to the nice point, however, they do not hold that point for a long time. And I don't feel like they are very good for details. They are perfect for blending and smooshing colors together, however, you have to use a lot of pressure to cover the grain of the paper. After testing all the colors in Derwent Drawing line that I own, I think that Polychromos stay as my #1 color pencil choice. It might be that I prefer a little bit harder core instead of very soft one. So of course this is going to differ between people and it depends on what you like to use in your work. Here I've done another test for drawing details. And you can see that Polychromos certainly win in this category. The line made with Polychromos is much sharper and much narrower. And when I tried to make a line with Derwent Drawing, I felt like I'm using a wax crayon. Maybe it is my fault because I didn't sharpen the pencils well before the use, so I do accept it might be my fault. But in my opinion, for detailed drawing, Polychromos certainly win. I decided to go ahead with one more test for both pencils and check how they smudge. Of course, I washed my hands before, not to transfer any colors or dirt. You can see that Polychromos do smudge a little bit, and that was expected. However, what I didn't expect was Derwent Drawing. They smudged quite a bit. I think even more than Polychromos, and that was a surprise for me. So I tried another color from Polychromos set to give Derwent Drawing a fair try, because it might be a pigment fault. But it didn't smudge as much as the first Polychromos pencil. So I used another shade from Derwent Drawing, again to give it a fair try. And this one didn't smudge as much as the first Derwent Drawing pencil, so it looks to me like it depends on the pigment. Okay, so we approached the end of my video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about both these brands. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye!